by you folks here, you know, close to some population centers as well. As far as ecological significance, it does have some pretty nice forest stands, oak, pine, and hemlock forests. And being on the shoreline, it's a migratory stopover and nesting habitat for a lot of different bird species. Historical and cultural significance. There's not much evidence left there now, but there was a sawmill and settlement at the mouth of Duck Lake. It was 2 Boy Scout camps, as you all know, and you can see some remnants of those. And just off the shore is a maritime preserve. So you can't see them from the land, but there's some shipwrecks not far away. And it is an area for waterfowl hunting as well. So I had to include this picture because it's just kind of fun. I mean, the Boy Scout camps were a big deal. When I looked at this, I realized just how developed it was. I particularly like this. This says War Canoe from Camp Shawandassi. So this is the one camp. And over here you have the watercraft of the future. They weren't far off. Looks pretty much like a jet ski to me. But yeah, it was a big deal, and you do see some of the remains there. And of course, we know the connection with John Ford as well. Kind of cool. So in management zones, we have a palette of 9 standard management zones shown on the left-hand side of the screen there. And they have different conditions in terms of the natural resource protection, the level of visitor experience, and the level of development. So starting at the top on the left, we have ecologically sensitive and primitive. And those, just like they sound, they have a really pristine natural resource condition, restricted or very low visitor entrance, and no development at all. And then as we go down through the zones, it goes to the complete opposite. By the time you get down to developed recreation, the natural resources are not so important, and the facilities for the visitors and the level of development is, you know, a lot higher there. So this is the zoning map that we developed for Duck Lake State Park. And what this zoning map does, it gives defined expectations looking forwards as far as the level of development that you could put here. It doesn't mean to say that if it's zoned for development, we're gonna, you know, build a high-rise motel there tomorrow or something crazy like that. It just means that resources could support a level of development. So you see a lot of green on this plan, which is the lower level of development. The lakeshore area there is in the light green along Lake Michigan. Well, there we go. I'm putting it up. No, it doesn't want to show on the screen. So this area here is a low level. It's really not developed along the lakeshore. So it may have a lot of people there, but we're not going to provide facilities right there on the lakeshore. It's going to maintain in a primitive condition. And then the inland area of the park is kind of split into 2 by the road that goes through there. The bright green on the right-hand side is backcountry. So in that area, we can have, you know, trail developments. It's all open to hunting, but it's going to stay pretty natural, really, as it is right now. The darker green on the other side allows for a slightly higher level of development, so that could include some rustic amenities or a higher density of trails. And then the green area that you see, those are the areas that are developed right now, but we have left a little bit of buffer around the main parking area and entrance area. It's very cramped and very busy right now, and we feel we really need a little room to grow. So that's the area that we've designated for a lot of that so it's not so important forest, and there's a lot of planted pines in that darker green area as well. So that's kind of why we've got the difference between the two greens. The whole park has a crosshatch on it. That's a cultural landscape overlay, just kind of reminding us that there may be some below ground cultural resources to take into consideration within the park. So another thing we look at with all of these parks is what we call the project boundary. And the project boundary is what we would like to own in an ideal world. All of our state land has a project boundary. So whether it's a state forest or a wildlife area. And this was something that was, you may have seen some email notices and things. It started in 2020. There was a land review team doing an update of these boundaries and taking a look at each county in turn and looking at whether these boundaries made sense. So for this park, the red line around the edge is what we own right now. That's the aerial photograph that's kind of popping from the screen there. The dashed yellow is the NRC, Natural Resources Commission approved, they're our oversight body, project boundary. So that does include some land on the east side. The green crosshatch is owned by Fruitland Township right now. It's undeveloped, and then undeveloped land up to where the creek comes into Duck Lake. All this means is, should the land come up for sale, or should the township not want that parcel for anything anymore, we would be interested. It doesn't mean we're going to go do a land grab. So, and then there's another parcel in the top corner there. So basically, any undeveloped land around the park, it's obviously desirable to have as much land base as we can for the public. So, and it is really nice how this park sits with the, where we are right now, the township park right here, and then the small township park at the other end of the lake as well. So the final part of our plan is the action plan. They address desired future conditions within the park as a whole and with each of the management zones. Just because they're on a list does not mean to say we've got the funding to implement them. This is kind of where we start, and then when this plan gets approved, these actions will get prioritized along with, first of all, other actions in this district, and then as a state as a whole. So we try to be realistic, not dream too big, and we hope that we can check everything off at the end of 10 years, but can't guarantee it. And our action items are not just about building new things either. We know this is a low-level, largely undeveloped park, so also looking at education and interpretive opportunities, if there's any management items we need to change, and things that don't necessarily mean building stuff. So there's rather a lot on this slide. I will try to pick out some. These are all repeated at the back of the room. One of the things that we're looking at is a high priority at all of our state parks right now is to seek alternative energy solutions. We don't have a large energy use at this park, but that makes it a prime candidate for, could we be self-sufficient? Basically, the only building that has electricity is the kind of management area. So, could we be self-sufficient there? Or if we do want to have better facilities, can we use solar or something rather than tapping into the grid? So those are things we keep looking at in all of our parks. We're always looking to explore land acquisition, as I said. Keep working proactively to prevent, detect, and control invasive species. So we have had some woolly adelgid, did I say that right? Hemlock woolly adelgid within the park. Our park stewardship staff and civilian conservation corps crew have been very active in treating that, and that's something that they're going to have to keep doing to keep that at bay. So We're hoping we can win that battle, but that's going to be ongoing. There's a new program that started this year, I believe, that was a Governor Whitmer initiative called Nature Awaits, to make sure that all fourth graders get out to a state park and get some education. Hoffmaster is where our park interpreter is based, at the centre there, but she's very keen on bringing them out to Duck Lake as well, if possible. So that was an idea to use this park as a base for that program as well. We do want to look at the trail system and make any improvements as necessary. The trail system kind of evolved from what was here when the Boy Scout camps were here. And I'll flick back a little ways. So along the lakeshore, in some areas there's 3 parallel trails along the lakeshore. There are about 5 or 6 cut-throughs. There are areas where you're going around in little circles. You know, does that make sense, or can we make it a little simpler without taking away the enjoyment of it? So making that easier to follow and make more sense. Working with the township to consider appropriate access to and protection to the cemetery. So there is a small cemetery up on the back of the dunes that you access from the main road, which is owned by the township. It's not very well marked. There's stairs going up there, and people kind of wander around everywhere, which, you know, some people could see as a little disrespectful. So trying to figure out how we can still allow access, but keep it a little more controlled. One of the big comments in our survey was you need better bathrooms. It's always a big comment from people. I don't know of anybody that likes bulk toilets, and when you're coming to the beach with young kids and it's really busy on a hot summer's day, it's doubly nasty. So we're going to look at options for that. Having a full modern flush toilet facility is probably not going to cut it here. You know, they're very expensive. We need well, septic, electricity. But there are some things on the market that could just be a bit better than what we have right now. It may still be bulk toilet. I have looked at some options. I haven't told Greg this yet, so he might not like this. But there's some modular buildings where it comes with a water tank as well as a sewage tank, so you can have some limited water in there for hand washing and things, and solar power. So it was basically off the grid, but it feels like a modern bathroom. So, you know, things to consider, but trying to make it better than what we've got right now. Another idea that we had, you know, when this part was first developed, it was